Okay, so let's get started with the next one. It's all about how you specify the tools and how do you give the context to the model, which tool needs to be called where, right? So it's about two story. How do you specify the tools and how do you give a context to the model, right? On what to call where, right? So this is very important, right? Very important, because you may define and do everything right, but a simple mistake in defining the tool or giving a context may lead to a complete failure, right? So there are three ways in which you do this. The first way is called as a in context learning. The second way is more on the basis of a retrieval based learning, retrieval based in context learning. And the final way, the most complex way, the most costly way is fine tuning based learning. So these are the three different ways in which you do this: in context, retrieval based in context, and fine tuning based. So in context is basically the one that is most used and is also used in the React framework, which is widely used, right? Reason action for the natural language. It also uses this. What it effectively does is it gives prompts, right? That helps in selecting the best particular tool, right? And while giving the prompts, it gives certain examples, certain number of examples, and it is also referred as few short prompts or few short examples, right? Prompts or few short examples. So in the prompts itself, you are giving to give that, okay, this tool is for this particular purpose and etc. etc. And it is able to find the right thing at the time of inference, right? At the time of inference. So at the time of the inference, it is able to um, refer to the best tool that is possible and is able to do something around that, right? The second one is more as a retrieval based in context learning. What a retrieval based in context learning does is instead of giving a prompt ahead of the time, the prompt is made dynamically, right? Dynamic creation of prompt. Dynamic creation of prompt. How can it create the prompt dynamically? Dynamic creation of prompt. How can it create the prompt dynamically, right? It can dynamically create the prompt by referring to the external memory, right? External memory, right? So what is usually done is the prompts or the examples are basically given in a RAG system, right? Or your examples will be put as the vectors, right? So whenever a question is asked, it will refer to the vector database in order to retrieve the right prompt, and then prompt is created dynamically, right? This is not that used, but I've seen some of the implementations of that, and I've also seen, I mean, if you really need and if you really need a big one, then you go for it. But most of the times, the React framework does the great job. And the final one is the most complex one, the fine tune based learning. So you take your language model or large language model or visual language model and you do the training. You train the model itself, right? But training this model is a complex things, right? You need to have the large data set in order to do the trainings of this, right? But this can also be done. This can be also done. If you want to take an example of each of these, right? What it means. Let's take an example to understand what it means from the real world. I mean, what does it mean, right? Let me start the snipping tool and let me take the snipping and let's take an example of this. Let me take the whole one, in fact. Go to file, go to save as, overwrite the image that we keep using, go to the next one, get this image. Okay, so we need to take an example of each of those, right? Each of these. So let me make it small so that I have the place for examples. And let's take an example for this. So for the in context based, that is number one, that is number two, that is number three. Okay, actually this is not required. Okay, so we'll talk about an example of each of these, right? With a probably a different color. So if you think that you are in a five-star restaurant and there is a chef, and chef has certain things. For example, chef already knows certain what are the in okay, you say that, hey, I want to order something, right? Maybe I want to order um, a fried rice with extra tofu and etc etc, and he you are asking a specific recipe, right? You're asking him a specific recipe. So I want a fried rice with the tofu and less salt and whatever, right? That's what I'm asking. That's basically what you're asking, right? So this becomes your prompt. This is what you're asking to be cooked. You want a specific food to be cooked. And what else he has? He has certain ingredients, right? He has key ingredients that he can put. He has certain ingredients in his kitchen, right? He has certain ingredients in kitchen, and he has some sample recipes with him. He has a certain recipes with him, right? So you can just think of it as a React prompt or certain prompts that he knows, right? And he has he is being asked to cook a fry rice with the tofu, etc. He has certain ingredients to cook it, and he also has certain recipes that he knows, right? And then apart from that, he also has a general knowledge of cooking, right? So a general knowledge is usually coming from LLM. For him, the general knowledge has come what he has studied in his school, right? And he is cooking for you, right? So he's cooking for you. It is more of an example of a in context learning because the context is available as a sample recipes. He has some ingredients and he has got a recipe. Now take another example wherein the example remains the same. He still gets a specific recipe to be cooked. But now let's say instead of having a key ingredients, he has a well-stocked pantry. Basically, he has everything and anything and everything, right? He has lot and lot of tools and everything that he may need, right? In terms of an AI agents or so. So he has a well-stocked pantry. He has every ingredient. He has a tofu. He has a paneer. He has a rice. He has a brown rice. It has a black rice. It has a black chicken, white chicken, green chicken, every chicken, right? And he has a well-stocked pantry. And at the same time, um, he doesn't have a sample recipe. He has a entire book. He has a vector DB, a huge vector DB of every possible recipe. All recipes he has, right? He has all recipes and he can always refer to each and every recipe, right? And he also has a general knowledge of cooking, right? That is coming from the LLM. So he is having the general knowledge, he is also having the general knowledge. Both are having the general knowledge of cooking. And now with this, with all of the information that is available with him, he is able to create more informed and more refined dish, right? He is able to create this, right? Because he is having more recipes, he is having well-stocked pantries, right? Lot of tools and lot of information in Vector DB, and he is able to do the better job. He is able to do the better job for the cooking. Now you have the um, third such thing, which is a fine-tuning based learning. And fine-tuning based learning is, imagine you are sending chef back to school. You are sending the chef back to the school to learn about the new recipes and get the more and more deeper understanding what the new type of a customers are coming, right? Sending back to the school, as good as retraining is, as good as fine tuning the algorithm itself, right? Sending the chef back to the school, he will be learning new examples and new ways, and then he is able to better um, take care of it, right? So these are the three ways in which you give the recipes, or how you give the prompts, or you fine tune the models to select the best possible tool, right? Remember, selecting the best possible tool is the key for your success. And this is how you define or make it best possible tools. Most of the time, React is good. If your prompt is growing big and big and big and big and big, and your LLM is hallucinating with such a large set of the prompt, you go to a retrieval based and vector based. And if you really have a huge data set, which you will never have unless you're working in Google and OpenAI and um, logging every such thing that is happening, and you are looking to retake some of the business that has been created by other tool, and then you are able to do the fine tune and able to make certain things, then is a different story. But fine tuning based learning is rare most of the time. It depends on where you are working and how you are working. Now each of them has an advantage and disadvantage and strengths and the weaknesses, right? The in terms of speed, cost, latencies, and so on. You have to select in the proper way, right? Mostly you start with the React in context learning, that you go to the retrieval base if your examples are growing more and more and more. And if you really have the large data set, then only go for a fine tuning based learning. Okay, perfect. So this is good. Thank you.